Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to thank that you have joined us today. And if you got some friends out there, tell them to follow us and like us on Facebook Live. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. We're going to be joined here shortly by Buddy Martin. He's got some internet issues going on down there in Ocala. We're also in the second portion of our program today. We'll be joined by former Jaguar, 19-year NFL vet, quarterback Martin Brunell, talking about his career and what he's got going on over in the Jacksonville area these days. We failed to mention about it yesterday. I don't know why. I was excited to talk to Kevin O'Sullivan. I hope you tuned in for that. If not, you can always go back and watch it. It was a great interview with Sully. But Dustin Johnson wins the PGA Tour event up in Connecticut this past weekend. Once again, it's pretty much the only professional sports going on. So if you missed that, you may want to tune in and watch a little bit of golf. And they continue this week as well. Now Buddy's wanting me to call him. So Mr. Producer, we're going to have to, I'm going to send you this number and we're going to have to figure out how to do this. Let's see here. This is live podcasting, folks. Technical difficulties. So I just sent you the number to call Buddy. Let's see if we can get him on, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, you got any texts, you can send them on the Titan MR text line. It's 352-353-7465. You can also hit us up on Facebook Live. Any questions or comments? Those are brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. We got a few here. Tim says, good morning from Cedar Key. Good morning, Tim. Mary says, good morning from Crescent Beach. Oh, she's rubbing it in. She lives in Crescent Beach. And then Dan is from Dallas, Texas. Early riser out there checking out the show. We appreciate it. Again, don't forget, we got Mark Brunell join us in the second part of the show. Tomorrow's program is going to be an interesting show. We're going to have John Cornell join us as well. And then we're going to come back and have Drew Copeland from Sister Hazel, kind of not really an athlete. He could have been an athlete back in the day, I guess. But we're going to talk a little music and his thoughts. He's a big-time Gator fan. Do we have Buddy on? Almost. We're still working on Buddy. Okay. Let's see. Who else do we have lined up for the rest of the week? On Thursday, let's see. We have Nathan Whitaker and Terry Norvell. And then we're going to end the show this week with Ben Garrett from Ole Miss, the Ole Miss Spirit, talking about what's going on there. And we'll have Noah Brandeis. But it looks like Buddy got all his technical difficulties down there in Ocala figured out. Good morning, Buddy. You there?
Good morning, Shannon. Despite technology, I overcame it. I'm here.
There you go. All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Again, every Tuesday, Buddy Martin joins us here. You can check out his show, The Buddy Martin Show, on Facebook Live. Buddy, did you watch any golf this weekend?
I did. I watched. I usually watch like 2-3 hours. I watched probably an hour. I'm so glad to have live sports. I watched it. And guy I really like a lot didn't do as well, but he's coming on. DeChambeau is really something else. He's going to be a heck of a player.
Yeah, well, pretty much any of those boys that tee it up on the weekends are pretty dang good. But Dustin Johnson.
DJ, when he's right, you realize he's won he's won more than even like Greg Norman.
Yeah.
One more, it was his 21st tournament. And the company he's in, Davis Love, he's up there among the elite. And gosh, how old is he? 32, maybe? I don't know. He's real young still. He's got a game that is on another planet. And if he's putting good, I mean, he's hard to beat.
No doubt about it. Well, buddy, let's first of all, obviously a lot of people know about your publication called Gator Bait. I know you're in the works now with a marketing company to try to figure out maybe a name change or what have you. Give us an update on what's going on there.
Well, you got a couple hours. I think it's been really interesting because it's made us all stop and think about this, in terms of what it is. And And then just a short version, we have adopted the policy, as I wrote in my column on Gator Bait last week, that we're trying to do we're going to do the right thing, whatever that is. But I have 4 rules here. Number 1, don't be afraid to say you don't know. I don't know. Number 2, I love this saying by Maya Angelou, the poet, and I was reminded of it when I saw Terrence Barber's Facebook page. He put it up there. And it's something I think we get for guiding principles in life, but this is a beautiful one when she said, do the best you can when you know better. That's number 1. Number 2, do better. So that's 2 and 3. When you know better, do better. All right. We're trying to find out as a body of evidence that can kind of indicate to you which way things have been going in research. Most recent story of the Tampa Bay Times. But even if there's no real concrete evidence, this is number 4, a guy you know well, head ball coach. If it offends somebody, take it down. That's the rule he used in Columbia when they had the Confederate flag over the Capitol building and people didn't like it, and especially African Americans. He said, take the damn thing down. So when we get our data, we're going to decide, do we take it down? In other words, we change the name Gator Bait. And right now, a company you know pretty well, Make It Happen, is doing an independent survey. And there'll be a brief quiz asking you if you think the cheers should be removed, which is really a fait accompli because it's been done. And next will be, would you like to see a different name for Gator Bait? And we have that entertained. If we do have a different name, we don't know yet what we do, but this is where we are now. We're about to send that data out, and if you'll be getting it on Gator Bait, you'll be able to go. We just log in, and it has an anonymous survey. What do you think? And you expressed yourself on it last week, I know. And then number 2, is it something that's offensive to you? That's where we are. Thanks to Freddie Weeby and Make It Happen. We'll find out just like you will. Just like I said, number 1, I don't know. So we're going to find out.
I'm anxious to see how the poll turns out. I got my thoughts on it. We'll see if my thoughts equal the final results. But
yeah, good. And by the way, I'm not expressing mine because I don't want to taint the jury pool. I just want people to be honest and say what they think. And there's no right and wrong. And we're not going to be telling you you're wrong when you say something. First of all, we won't know unless you're like you have a show and you said it. And we appreciate input from both, because if you can't sit to the table and talk, you get nothing.
That's true. We got a couple of Facebook Live comments brought to you by Melvin Law, where you matter most. David says he didn't watch golf, but he watched paint dry. Same thing, right? No, David, we got to get you on the golf wagon. But David also says, referring to the Gator Bait talk, it's the most ridiculous thing he's ever heard. So,
okay.
But anyway, everybody has their own opinion. Buddy, we talk a lot on our show about offense. Let's talk a little bit about the Gator defense today. Your thoughts? We lose a couple of really good players. Obviously, Brunell, Zuniga didn't play a whole lot, but you lose C.J. Henderson, who I think is one of the best corners in the country. What does Buddy think about how we can replace those guys and where this defense will be if we play football this year?
Well, we did some on our show last night, and tonight you and I can pick up with that on my show and follow it up, because I was watching yesterday the 4th quarter of the Florida-Miami game. It was atrocious. How in the world the Gators ever won that game? Beyond me. Go back and look at it. You'll be amazed. I turned it on with 13 minutes to go in the game, and I forget that the interceptions, Felipe Franks threw 2 picks in the 4th quarter. 2, okay? Devastating picks. There were opportunities, many balls on the ground. Florida didn't get them. Miami self-destructed. Miami had the ball and drove down to the 10, getting a field goal. It was 24-20, I think, at that time. Florida came back and won that. No, they were behind. Came back and won that game despite all of the mistakes they kept making. And the worst, most egregious things were the unbelievable pass interference calls and penalties. How can you have 3rd and 34? And you get a 4 or even 4th. They were giving them enormous first downs, time and time again, the defense kept making. Now, granted, some of those calls were questionable. One of them was outright wrong. So the defense, and I was watching Zadig, and I was watching this guy, and I'll tell you somebody else, David Reese is the guy they're going to miss. Somebody mentions his name, but he was always at the right place at the right time. And Grenard, what a player he was. And they're going to miss those guys. This defense, though, has a chance to be really, really good. I mean, really good. Maybe as good as there is in the league. There are some untested people, but some of those down linemen they've got coming in are going to be really, really, I think, excellent. And people start talking. We were naming last night the top players, and we got around to we still hadn't named the secondary yet. There's some good players. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen at linebacker. You know, that's going to be interesting, especially with the kid from Georgia, roster. We'll see how he turns out. The corners between the safeties are supposed to be DBU, right? Well, and I think the one thing gets mentioned, the X factor that people just don't get. Todd Grantham is a terrific defensive coordinator. I mean, I love his defense. Shane, if you're playing against him, I would hate it as a quarterback because I never know where the blitz is coming from or when it's going to come. And I like a defense that's going to take chances, which he does. There's a survey out about the top defensive play callers. And I forget who, maybe S-Side, I forget who wrote it. I hate not to give people credit. But Todd Grantham's mentioned among the top three, and I'm not so sure he's not higher. And so I think the deal is that this is his last year of the contract, a 3-year contract. It's certainly been a key part, particularly with this group. I think they're kind of all in on this team with this defense and all the young kids. I mean, I could mention Kyer Elam is a guy that people are excited about. Some young players coming up that people get excited about. People talk about their safeties. I think their safeties are pretty good. I mean, you got experience in guys like Steiner and Davis and what have you. I could go and name them all the way through, but I won't. But this survey is the number 5 play caller in the SEC. He had the whole list. Mike Elko, Texas A&M. Barry Odom, number 4. Everybody loves Barry Odom in Arkansas now. He's made his bones. But I'm going to tell you something. He's got a lot of high cotton in this group. And Barry Odom is maybe good, but he's got some guys who can call some ball plays on defense. But the most important thing is Todd Grantham, number 3. Dan Lanning, number 2. He's not even the defensive coordinator. Kirby calls the defense.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even know where he coaches.
I know. That's the thing. Who is Dan Lanning, for crying out loud? You got to look him up, find out. Anyway, he's got great players. I mean, no question. And Kirby knows defense. Finally, I don't have any problem with Kevin Steele's number 1 play caller in the SEC. That's my thoughts. What are yours?
Well, Kevin Steele, he's had some good game plans, especially last year. I thought his game plan after we had lost to LSU, I want to say Auburn. I can't remember. They came to Baton Rouge a couple of weeks or maybe the following week after we played them. He had a different philosophy. He only rushed 3, maybe brought 4 from a different angle or what have you. But he confused Joe Burrow and them. But obviously just too much talent took over. But no, I really like Kevin Steele. But our guy here. Doing radio during football season, buddy, obviously you get the Monday morning callers, Monday morning quarterbacks. And, it's no different than when you call plays offensively. He's very aggressive. He blitzes a lot. Coach Spurrier likes him as a coordinator as well. But Grantham, he is aggressive, and I like that. Now, being aggressive, what does that mean? That means the other team, they're going to hit plays on you. It's no different than when you're an offensive play caller and you're aggressive. You're going to take your shots. You're not going to hit every shot. But if you hit 2 of those 6 shots, those are big, big plays in the game. And, but I think we do have some really good talent on that side of the ball. I think, when you talk about that Miami game last year, I think everyone was frustrated the way we played in it, including the coaches. But that goes to show you the kind of coaching staff Florida has right now, buddy, is because think about how much better the team got as the season progressed. Look where Miami went as the season progressed.
Yeah.
So, it's we got a great staff here. They've done a tremendous job recruiting. 21 games they've won in the last 2 years is outstanding, and it's just time for us to take that next step, and hopefully they get to do it this year.
Shane, it is. I think they're coming together the talent right now. And I had Brandon Marcello on my show last night. He's from Auburn Undercover and 247 Sports. And he wrote the preview for 247, and he's got Florida #1 in the East, beating Georgia. And people are starting to understand now what I've been talking about for the last 2 years. They're starting to hear footsteps behind them because the Gators are coming on them. Haven't got him yet. And I asked him why. And first of all, he loves Todd Grantham, but he says they got the best quarterback in the league easily. And with that defense, this is a good combination. Look, what do you need, Shane? You got a good quarterback, a good play caller, and good defense and good talent. And the ingredients are there. Like you said, though, the next step is going to be the big one. They're going to be the test.
We got a question here for you, buddy, and I'm going to comment on it as well. It comes from Keith, and it's brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Keith wants to know, is our offensive line going to be any better run blocking?
Well, do they have to be? I mean, here's the thing about it. Yeah, of course you want to be able to run the ball. And last year there was some opportunity. They just could not a couple of times. But Mullen's he's got his running is throwing short passes. We know that. If you can't go through them, go around them. That's the old adage of football. And I think they will be better just because I believe in their coach. I think Hevesy is the most unsung member of that staff. And I think what they've got was kids with more experience now. They got a grad transfer from Mississippi State. And I'd liken offensive lines to basketball teams. It's not just one guy. 5 got to play together as a unit. They got to play together as a unit. And they got to know where each other are at all times. They got to be able to feel each other, know each other, trust each other. That's the big word, trust. Can you trust each other in the offensive line? I think it'll be better. I don't think it's there yet, but I think if they get the right combination there in that offensive line, and if Lingard is the 5-star back he was, along with what they got coming back, I think the running game will be better. I don't have a problem in pass protecting. They can pass protect, and Trask gets rid of the ball. So the answer is, yeah, they'll be better.
Yeah, my thoughts on that. I think they will be better. I think the addition of the transfer from Mississippi State will definitely help. But here's the thing. It's a coach's job to win football games and do what he wants to do or what he thinks best to attack a defense. And if we can't run the ball a lick, but we can throw it, that's what we're going to do. And I know too many people get caught up in stats, this, that, and the other, but the bottom line is win the football game. And if we have to throw it 60 times, he will throw it 60 times. So we'll see. I think it's still a work in progress, but I'm with you. I think they've got some experience coming back. As I said, the kid from Mississippi State will definitely help. But the strength of our team is going to be our quarterback throwing the football. Buddy, last thing before we let you go, what you got lined up on the show tonight?
Let's focus on you. That's the main thing. And I want to talk a little bit about I've almost stopped talking about whether there's going to be football or not. Because why should be? Right now, it's life and death out there. Let's get everybody well, protect people, stop doing stupid things. I know maybe you don't want to wear a mask, but think about the people out there around you and take care of that first. And football will be here one way or the other. I expect some kind of season, but I'll be honest with you. If the numbers we got now, whether they're coming in at records every day, are still going on, I don't want football, and I'm dying. I'll die without it. I think we'll get in some kind. Maybe it'll only be 6, 7, 8 games. Okay, whatever. Most important thing is stay safe, stay well, do that. And then tonight we're going to try to talk just about sports, like we always do. Shaner, you bring it. We'll talk about it.
All right, buddy. That's Buddy Martin. You can check him out tonight on the Buddy Martin Show on Facebook Live. Buddy, be safe, and we'll talk to you tonight, my man.
Thank you, Shane. Looking forward to it.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. When we come back, we're going to be joined by former Jaguar Mark Brunell. Hey, folks, at Center State Bank, we put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Come in and experience the Center State difference. To learn more, visit centerstatebank.com. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're going to take a timeout. We'll come back. As I mentioned, Jaguar quarterback Mark Brunell. We're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. The Best Restoration, Masters of Disasters. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator fans' first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School,
Doreen Weeby Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish,
Radware, Wrap Spot,
and Style Cuts.
If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking, he's going for the end zone, he's got a touchdown!
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you. Celebration points where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. My next guest here going to join us on the Titan MR hotline. Most of y'all know him as the best quarterback to ever play for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Mark Brunell. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. I'm doing well. It's good to be on. Finally, I get on your show.
Yes, you're looking at the great quarterback class of 1993, right?
That's exactly right. Forget those guys that went, before us. Those Bledsoe and Meyer. Forget those guys. But you and I are the best 93 had to offer, Shane.
That's right. Well, Mark, let's go back to your days. You grew up in California. Tell us a little bit about the recruiting process for you. Why you chose the University of Washington.
Yeah, I was a Southern California kid, and honestly, there were three schools that I really wanted to go to: USC, UCLA, or Stanford. The problem is that USC, UCLA, and Stanford weren't real interested in me. I was kind of 2, 3, 4 down the list, and the guys that they wanted, guys like Brett Johnson, Todd Marinovich, had committed to those schools. And but Washington was interested in me. I didn't know a thing about the University of Washington growing up. Naturally, Southern California kid, you just surrounded with Trojans and Bruins, and took my trip up to Washington. I was number 1 on their list. I had a good trip. Still was hoping to stay in California, but I wasn't able to. And you kind of go where you're wanted, and that ended up being the University of Washington.
Yeah, so you played for Don James there, I believe, and you played. I was reading up on it because I followed you obviously because we were in school at the same time. You had a really good, I want to say, freshman or sophomore year. You have a bad knee injury.
Yeah.
This is after. When did you have the knee injury? What year?
So that would have been I started my redshirt sophomore year, and we had a good year. Went to the Rose Bowl, and then that following spring. It was a spring scrimmage. I don't think it was a spring game, but blew out my knee. And so that was right before my redshirt junior year. So yeah, I mean, I was the starter. I was going into my second year starting, and then had that happen, and I had a total reconstruction, and that kind of stuff you never want it to happen to you just don't want it to happen to anybody on your team, but it does, and it was unfortunate. So the following year, I backed up Billy Joe Hobart. You remember Billy Joe, who came out the same year we did, and then got some playing time my senior year. So yeah, it was quite a setback, and but yeah, that would have been my redshirt sophomore year going into my junior year, I think.
Yeah, talk a little bit about how you handled having to split time with Billy Joe after the previous year you were the starter and had a really good year. I mean, that obviously had to help you once you went to the NFL because you have to kind of wait your turn. But y'all won the national title. A lot of people don't realize this. In '91, y'all had the split title with Miami. We were kind of in the mix in the top five. I think we ended up 11-1, lost to Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. But talk about how difficult it was for you to kind of have to split time with Billy Joe.
Yeah, it was tough. It was, like I said, the year before I got hurt, we had a very good season, and knew that the following year was going to be a good football team, and it was. To your point, we won the national championship, shared with Miami, and really, Shane, there was no real splitting time. I was the backup, and because we had won so many games, all of our games, there was quite a few blowouts in there, so I came in and cleaned up in the fourth quarter after three or four being 3 or 4 touchdowns ahead. So it wasn't really a splitting time. Billy Joe's Hobart was the starter and won a national championship for us. I was fortunate to be in there and get a little time, but it really was his team. So, and that was tough. You're at the top, and then and just pretty soon you're fighting to get back on the field, and then you're a backup. So it's a good lesson for any young player to learn, having to go through some adversity and fighting back, and being patient, and just take advantage of your opportunity. It was a lot of fun, but Shane, really, I learned a lot from it, and I came out a stronger person, stronger player because of it. But at the time, it was pretty devastating.
Yeah, I bet. Talk a little bit about the Apple Cup. Obviously you live in Jacksonville. You're familiar with the Florida-Georgia rivalry, Florida State. Let the fans here know. I mean, that's a heated rivalry out there. Did Bledsoe ever beat you guys?
Oh yeah, he did. So the Apple Cup, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, unless you grow up in the state of Washington, you don't really get an idea of what the Apple Cup really means. Again, I grew up in California, and so in Washington, after having been there a couple of years, you do understand that the opportunity to play Washington State at the end of the year is pretty big. So many great rivalries in college football, but up in the Pacific Northwest, that's the one. And so Drew Bledsoe, I think let's see, he was probably at Washington State. I mean, that would have been 4 Apple Cups. He probably won half of them. We won half of them. I don't remember exactly. I do remember our last one, his last year at Washington State, my last year at Washington. We played in Washington State, and in literally a blizzard.
Yeah, I remember something like that. Yeah,
snow was coming down, and I couldn't grip the ball. I couldn't throw the ball. I couldn't complete a pass, and Bledsoe's going up and down the field, throwing. It was as if it was like a perfect sunny day. I'll never forget how he could operate in those conditions. And I was struggling, and they beat us, and that was quite an upset for us. And so, yeah, Bledsoe got the best of the Huskies that day, and he finished out his college career real strong. But I've always been impressed with Drew. Great guy, great player, just an incredible career. And he's always been real good to me, and I've heard nothing but good things about him from his teammates. But I'll never forget that performance. That was impressive.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He and I were teammates here in Buffalo. So, Mark, you get drafted by the Green Bay Packers, one of the best franchises in all of football. You go back up Brett Favre. Talk a little bit about what that was like playing with Favre.
Well, this was, Shane, you'll remember, this is early Favre. This is before MVP, Super Bowl championship. Brett's early years, he struggled. I mean, there were a lot of great touchdowns and some great performances. There are a lot of bad picks. Like there are picks, and then there are bad picks. And Brett seemed to find a way to really showcase the really bad picks. Throwing up the air, back foot, just being really careless with the ball. And so I was in Green Bay for a couple of those years when he really struggled at times. And but man, he played hard. I learned a lot from Brett Favre because one, he was real good to me, and two, it wasn't always pretty. To my point, but he competed. I mean, he played hard. Yeah, he'd make bad decisions, and his arm was so strong that he tried to throw through a defender, and he was still at that time, Shane. He was still trying to figure it out. And but man, he played with a passion. He played hard, and the year after I left, I think in '95, maybe '96 was their Super Bowl year. From really '95 on, he just took off and just became a much better quarterback, and I mean became one of the best to ever play the game. But like I said, he was great to be around. Probably one of the funniest teammates I've ever been around. I mean, we'd go to our meetings. It was Steve Mariucci. Was the quarterback coach, Brett Favre, Ty Detmer, and myself. And we didn't get a lot done, but man, we sure laughed a lot. We had a great time. My first 2 years in the league, now I wasn't playing. I had more fun because it was all football. I was surrounded by some really good guys. I learned from some great coaches. So for me, it was a good start. If I didn't have that start in Green Bay, I don't know how long I would have lasted, but it was two good foundational years that really helped me in my career.
Talk a little bit about because there's such great tradition in Green Bay. It's my favorite venue in all of the NFL. I was fortunate enough. I think I was with Buffalo. We did the whole, you come in for 3 days during training camp and practice against them, but we got to ride the bikes with the kids down to the practice field. Did you enjoy doing that?
I did, and there's some great traditions there. And I mean, I haven't been up there. Well, I was up there last October, but I haven't really been around there much. It's changed, but it hasn't changed. The stadium's entirely different, but the traditions remain the same. The stadium's actually incredible. But my time there, the bikes, the fans, it's just there's no place like it in all of the NFL. It's very unique, much like the Saints in New Orleans. New Orleans is very unique. That environment's completely different, in my opinion. I got to experience that, but Green Bay is a special place, and you talk about the history and the great players that have come through there. I mean, I got to be there with Brett Favre and Reggie White, and it was just an amazing experience. The connection between the fans and the players and the history and the tradition and all that, it's really cool, Shane.
It is awesome. We're speaking with Mark Brunell. You can follow him on Twitter at M_Brunell8. Mark, so I didn't even realize this, but you denied a trade to the Philadelphia Eagles and ended up getting traded to the Jaguars, which turned out to be pretty good for you. Did you not want to go play for the Eagles? What was it?
No, it certainly wasn't a situation where I denied that. John Gruden was going to be offense coordinator with the Eagles. I believe Ray Rhodes was going to be the head coach. John Gruden was, with my first 2 years before I got traded, was the receiver coach for Green Bay. I wanted to play for him. I was familiar with the system. I liked Gru, and I thought it was going to be a great opportunity. The compensation between the Packers and the Eagles just wasn't right, so it just didn't work out. And so it kind of just took a little time. And all of a sudden Jacksonville calls, and that happened immediately. And so, and I was familiar with what I was getting into with Philly, and I really wanted to do that. I didn't know a thing about Jacksonville. I didn't know a thing about Tom Coughlin. I couldn't have found Jacksonville on a map. I knew it was in Florida, Shane, but that was about it. But as you said, it worked out. And although to go from Green Bay, Wisconsin in April down to Florida was a big switch, and as I look back, I'm pretty thrilled that it happened.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your Jaguar career. Obviously, a lot of our people know all about it. You played on some really good teams there under Tom Coughlin. You had Keenan McCardell, Jimmy Smith, outstanding duo there, and you had Gator Fred Taylor as your running back. Talk a little bit about, making it to the AFC Championship games a couple of times, but never getting across that hump.
Yes, when we got there, Tom Coughlin did a very good job of putting together a team that just some good young players. We had success early, good group of guys. Probably in the first couple of years, not the most talented teams. 95, we struggled. 96, we went 9-7, got the AFC Championship game. Not loaded with talent, but really good guys, character guys, hardworking guys that believed in each other. Got a few breaks, got a lot of breaks, stayed healthy, and kind of hung in there for a few games, and won in the end. Had a good stretch last half of the season, just a kind of a dream season for us, and yet we weren't able to in '96 make it all the way. We actually lost to Drew Bledsoe in the AFC Championship game that year. So that was frustrating, but it was exciting. Going forward, fast forward to '99, really talented, and just came up short to the Tennessee Titans. So it was, I look back and I had 9 years in Jacksonville, and I loved it. Surrounded by some great people, great town. But you think about where you just came up short and what could have been. You win that game, you're in the Super Bowl. You never know what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. So it was very rewarding. If I could change one thing, it would be having the opportunity to take the team to the Super Bowl. That's my only regret, not being able to do that. So to a degree, you feel like, yeah, good career in Jacksonville, but you in the one goal that you're trying to get, you came up short twice. So that's hard, but I met some great people. Shane, I was one of those quarterbacks, like most of us, that when I was surrounded by some good players, I was good. And you mentioned Fred Taylor, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell, and the list goes on and on. Tony Baselli, Leon Searcy, Kyle Brady. I had some really good players around me. And when I did, we were pretty good. And we struggled there at the end. And but I got to play 9 years there. I loved it. I still live in Jacksonville, still connected to the community, and still root for the team. But it was a great run, Shane. But we did come up short a couple times, which is tough.
Talk a little bit. I know you're very close with Tony Baselli. Is he ever going to get in the Hall of Fame, you think?
I think he will, Shane. What hurts him is the longevity thing. I think he played for 5 years, and in those 5 years, he was one of the best to ever play. But I think with a lot of voters, they have a problem with he just hasn't played long enough. Well, you can go back and find other players that didn't, that are in the Hall of Fame that didn't play that long. So I think he'll get there eventually. But I think it's been the last 5 or 6 years that he's been denied. He's gotten to the top 10, and it hasn't worked out. But he's certainly worthy of it, Shane. But it just hasn't happened yet. But I think he'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Do you think Fred Taylor will ever get any opportunities?
I don't know if he will, Shane. I think he should. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. What he's done for the Jacksonville, not that the voters, care about that, but the longevity, the production, the numbers all speak for themselves. I think he could. I just don't know if he will. That'll be interesting to see. He certainly deserves it, in my opinion.
So once you left there, you went to the Redskins, the Jets, but you finally got a Super Bowl ring with Sean Payton, Drew Brees with the Saints. Talk a little bit about, I think Sean Payton is one of the best play callers in the game. So just talk a bit about that Super Bowl run. Obviously you were the holder for a key field goal attempt. They got them to the Super Bowl. So talk a little bit about the Saints.
First of all, New Orleans is an incredible city, wonderful people. The organization was great, first-class organization. Mickey Loomis, general manager, Sean Payton, just did everything with excellence. They really took care of their players. It was a special place because, in large part because of the leadership there. And not every place is like that, as you know, Shane. Listen, Sean Payton is an absolute incredible play caller. But let's not forget who's getting those plays in the huddle too. I think the fact that those two are together, I don't think you can talk about Sean Payton's brilliance without talking about Drew Brees' ability to play too. They're a 1-2 punch. They work very well together. Great quarterback, great coach. They make each other great, and so that's why you have, what you have in New Orleans. That's why both could very well. Well, Drew's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and probably Sean Payton as well. But it's one of those years, Shannon. I know you've been on teams like this where just from early on, it's a special team, and it's not just because of the talent. It's just because it's how well the guys work, how hard they work, the chemistry, the camaraderie, whatever it is. Early on, we knew it was going to be a special team. We didn't, and we knew we had a shot that we would be there at the end, whether you win a Super Bowl or not. But it was a cool experience. I've only been on a few teams in my career after playing a lot of football where you just knew you had something special. And certainly that year in 2009 was pretty special for the Saints.
So you ended up making Jacksonville your all-season, or your home once you were done playing. You do a lot of stuff, as you said, in the community. You coached some of your sons in high school ball at Providence, and then you got the head job at Episcopal. Talk a little bit about your enjoyment of coaching young kids at the high school level.
Jane, I retired about 10 years ago. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I got asked to be the volunteer quarterback coach at Providence, and where I had two of my older two children graduated from private school here in Jacksonville. And Shane, I loved it. I mean, I just fell in love with coaching high school football. A year after that, the Episcopal School of Jacksonville offered me a job, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I'm going into my 8th year. 2 of my boys have graduated from here, and Shane, I love it. I love everything about it. It's not without its problems. There's some things that you got to kind of battle here and there, but the experience, the good experiences, far outweigh any negatives that might come with high school coaching. Listen, we're a small private school. We can't compete with a lot of schools in Jacksonville, like Trinity Christian or Bowles. But we got a great bunch of kids that work hard. That I'm not going to say some of them love football. I wish more of them love football. I wish more of them were committed. That's one of the biggest challenges, is to get these guys to buy in and work hard consistently and getting them to show up. But Friday nights are great. I love my coaching staff, and I love the opportunity to work with these young men. We try to develop these guys, and we try to win some games along the way. But I really enjoy it.
So your one son, I believe, is playing quarterback at Georgetown University. You coached him. I coached my son, who was a quarterback as well. Did y'all butt heads a lot?
We had, not very much, actually. I thought we would butt heads more. We had some moments where there would be a coach player, frustration, but we had one rule, Shane, and actually my wife set this rule. She says, listen, good or bad, when you guys come home, football's over with. And so as soon as we would get home, we didn't talk about it, whether it was great, whether it went poorly, because sometimes there was bad games or bad practices where we were maybe not seeing eye to eye, or just kind of maybe not frustrated with each other, but just tired of each other after being around so much. I had that experience with my dad when he was my baseball coach when I was in high school. But Joseph and we figured out how to make it work, and we just left it on the field. We left it here at school, and when we got home, we were father son, and just enjoyed each other's company. But we got through that pretty good. But there were a couple heated moments, on Friday nights that looking back are kind of funny. But it's hard not to have some measure of frustration when you're coaching your son, because your expectations are so high.
Yeah,
they're so much higher for your son than they are everyone else, and maybe that's not fair, but that's the way it is.
No doubt about it. And you also have a kid that's committed to the University of Florida, a big tight end, correct?
We do. Nick Elksness. And yeah, he's looking forward to that. Good player, big kid, hard worker. Has made some really good decisions and has made some big plays for us. I just love his work ethic. I just love that he's in this weight room all the time, and he's a grinder now. And I think a kid that has that kind of work ethic going into in a much different environment, and at the University of Florida, I think he's got a chance simply because he's not afraid to work. He loves it. He recognizes that he's got a long ways to go, and so it'll be fun to watch how his career unfolds down there.
Now, you got to fill me in on this. You hold a world record for the longest throw and catch of a hot dog sausage into a bun. What's that all about?
I think it's been broken, Shane.
Oh, it has?
I think that record's been broken. Thank goodness. This interview was going really, really well, I thought, until you brought that up and just completely embarrassed me.
So where did you do this? And how far
this was a promotion that the Jaguars were doing in London, and they said, "Hey, we want you to throw this hot dog, and the guy over here is going to catch it with the bun. He might win a world record or something." I said, "All right, you guys paying me to do this? Because if I'm going to get all this ridicule for the next 30 years, I need to be compensated." And so I did it, and I thought it would be just something that would kind of go away, Shane, but it hasn't, and I get laughed at a lot, which is fine. It's probably good for me. But yeah, that record apparently was broken. But I think I'm in a Guinness Book of World Records book somewhere, like a literal book. So I guess that's kind of cool,
Yeah, that's interesting. So what charities are you involved with over in the Jacksonville area? Let everyone know. I know you're really involved with the NFL Legends stuff. Just talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So one of the things, I do some local TV. I coach high school football, but I also work with the NFL and our NFL Legends community. And Shane, right now there's about 18,000 former NFL players. We call them legends. And for a lot of guys out there, thousands of guys don't know about all the resources and opportunities that are available to them simply because they played in the NFL. And so one of my jobs working with the Legends community is really helping players, one, with their transition, going from being an NFL player to a former NFL player. And many times that can be very, very difficult. And there's a lot of guys out there that played in the 60s, 70s, 80s that really don't know that there are some programs and things available to them, whether they're having physical issues, mental health issues, whatever it is, financial issues. There's a lot of things out there available to them. So we try to take that information, communicate with guys that really haven't been connected with the league. And many times it's getting them back on their feet, giving them an opportunity to be a part of something, trying to connect them with their former teams. A lot of things that we try to do to keep the former player engaged, which with what's available to them. So that's where I'm putting most of my time into when I'm not coaching. I really enjoy it, and it is a brotherhood, Shane. I mean, and as you know, there's a lot of guys that are out there that kind of perhaps they've been out of the league for 10, 20 years or whatever, and they're still trying to figure out what they want to do, or they need a measure of help or something. And so we try to provide that for them. So it's been good. It's been very rewarding. I like working with the NFL, some good people. And so that's really what I'm pouring a lot of time into right now.
Last thing for you, and I could be wrong because it's been a long time ago, but didn't you and I play against each other in the Japan Bowl in Tokyo?
We did. We went over to Japan and we played against each other. We hung out quite a bit. I got some pictures. I was going through some old stuff. I found some pictures of you and I, and Jeff Skanina, Chris Hutchinson, a bunch of guys. Doug Skeen. I don't remember. You remember these names? James Clifford was over there with us. It was. Gosh. That was again. That was 1993. That was a while ago. But I got some pictures, like actual pictures, But I do remember that was a good time. It was a good time, long time ago.
Yeah, Coach Spurrier was our coach. Who was the coach of your team?
Gosh, I don't remember. I don't remember. That's a good one. I need to figure that one out. But I was. I don't. it was a good experience. The game was fun, and but it was just good meeting a bunch of guys from all over, different teams. But I do remember that it was a good time.
All right, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking time to join us today, Mark. Be safe over there in Jackson. Good luck to y'all are the Eagles, right?
We are the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
There you go. Good luck to y'all this year, my man.
Thanks, Shane. I enjoyed it. Take care, bud.
All right, that's Mark Brunell. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. We're going to take our final time out of the program. We'll be right back. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out!
Appreciate it, bud.
Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. The Best Restoration, Masters of Disasters. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator fans' first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School,
Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish,
Radware, Wrap Spot,
and Style Cuts.
If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. June is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention the promo code Shane. Receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Visit them at wrapspot.com today. This day in sports, which is brought to you by Best Restoration. Do you have COVID-19 concerns? Do what everyone is doing and hire the Best Restoration to fully sanitize and sterilize your home or office. Visit their offices this week for a free bottle of hand sanitizer when you mention the code Shane. Call them at 352-234-8994. This day in sports, actually last year, 2019, the Brooklyn Nets load up on elite NBA talent on the first day of free agency. They signed Kevin Durant from the Warriors and Kyrie Irving from the Celtics and DeAndre Jordan from the New York Knicks. That's brought to you by the Best Restoration. I really want to thank Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show for joining us, and my good buddy Mark Brunell, former Jaguar quarterback, just a good old dude who lives over in Jacksonville, taking the time to join us. Don't forget tomorrow's show, we're going to have JC, Johnny Cornell, join us, talk a little sports, get his thoughts on what's going around in the world. And then we're going to have Drew Copeland from Sister Hazel, just talking sports, his love for the Gators, what's going on with their band right now. Remember, folks, you can go check us out on Facebook Live. Make sure you follow us. Tell your friends to follow us and like us. You can also see us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Today's show is a wrap brought to you by the Wrap Spot. A vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call Wrap Spot today. That's it, folks. Be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.